20 child stars who completely vanished from Hollywood, then and now. In the dazzling world of entertainment, child stars once ruled the silver screen, their faces plastered across billboards and their names echoing through households across America. These young performers captured our hearts, dominated magazine covers, and seemed destined for lifelong success. But fame can be fleeting, especially for Hollywood's youngest stars. Today, we're uncovering the shocking stories of 20 young talents whose bright lights dimmed far too soon. 1. Bobby Driscoll, Disney's fallen prince. Bobby Driscoll's story epitomizes the cruel nature of Hollywood's spotlight. As Disney's first contracted child star, he soared to unprecedented heights, lending his voice to the iconic Peter Pan and starring in the adventure classic Treasure Island. His talent didn't go unnoticed. At just 12, he clutched an Academy Juvenile Award for his remarkable performances in The Window and So Dear to My Heart. But Hollywood's love affair with Bobby was destined to be short-lived. As puberty transformed his once angelic features, acne scarred his complexion, and his boyish charm faded, the industry turned its back. Walt Disney, who had once regarded Bobby as a son, coldly terminated his contract in 1953. While studio executives whispered about his difficult behavior, the harsh truth was simple. He no longer fit their perfect mold. What followed was a heartbreaking descent into darkness. Labeled a has-been at 16, Bobby spiraled into drug addiction and crime. Despite his parents' desperate attempts at rehabilitation, heroin's grip tightened. By his 20s, he was unrecognizable from the bright-eyed boy who had once captured America's heart. 2. Margaret O'Brien, a ray of hope. In stark contrast to Bobby's tragic tale, Margaret O'Brien's story offers a glimmer of hope. Her emotional depth in Meet Me in St. Louis, alongside Judy Garland, showcased extraordinary talent, earning her an Academy Juvenile Award. Her ability to cry on command made her MGM's crown jewel. As the 1950s dawned and roles became scarce, Margaret made a bold choice that would ultimately save her from Hollywood's darker side. Instead of desperately clinging to fading fame, she gracefully stepped away, pursuing education and building a life away from the spotlight. Today, at 87, Margaret lives peacefully in California, proving that there can be life after child stardom. Her story stands as a testament to the power of choosing one's own path, even when it leads away from the glittering lights of Hollywood. Through these contrasting narratives, we witness both the devastating pitfalls and potential triumphs that await child stars when the curtain finally falls. Their stories serve as both warning and inspiration, reminding us that fame's brightest stars often burn the fastest. 3. Claude Jarman Jr., the boy who chose life over lights. When The Yearling graced screens in 1946, audiences were captivated by 12-year-old Claude Jarman Jr.'s raw, authentic performance as Jody Baxter. His portrayal of a boy's touching relationship with a young deer in rural Florida wasn't just acting, it was pure magic that earned him an Academy Juvenile Award and seemed to pave the way for Hollywood greatness. But Claude's story takes an unexpected turn. Unlike many child stars who desperately clung to fading fame, he made a decision that would puzzle many, but ultimately save him. He chose books over scripts, reality over fantasy. After starring in thought-provoking films like Intruder in the Dust, Claude traded Hollywood's bright lights for the familiar comfort of his Tennessee hometown. His journey led him through Vanderbilt University's halls rather than studio corridors, and into Navy service instead of casting calls. Later, in a poetic twist, he became the executive director of the San Francisco International Film Festival, staying connected to cinema, but on his own terms. Today, at 89, Claude's gentle smile and sharp mind remind us that sometimes the bravest act is knowing when to exit stage left. 4. Deanna Durbin, the star who vanished by choice. In the glittering constellation of 1930s Hollywood, Deanna Durbin shone brightest. Her crystalline soprano voice and girl-next-door charm didn't just win hearts, they saved Universal Studios from financial ruin. By 21, she commanded an astounding $400,000 per film, second only to Bette Davis among America's highest-paid women. But at the height of her powers, Deanna shocked the world. At just 27, with a $200,000 annual contract on the table and millions of devoted fans worldwide, she did the unthinkable. She walked away. After her 21st film, For the Love of Mary, in 1949, Deanna traded Hollywood's chaos for the tranquil embrace of a small French village. For the next 64 years, she crafted a life of peaceful anonymity with her third husband, producer Charles David. Interview requests were politely declined, comeback offers ignored. The woman who once boasted Hollywood's largest fan club chose silence over spotlight, contentment over celebrity. Her self-imposed exile was so complete that today's generation barely knows the name that once made headlines worldwide. Deanna's disappearance wasn't a tragedy, it was a triumph of personal choice over public expectation, a reminder that sometimes the most powerful statement is choosing to say nothing at all. 5. Brandon deWilde, the boy who called for Shane. In 1953, a young boy's heartfelt plea echoed through cinema history. Shane, come back, come back. Those words, delivered by Brandon deWilde in the classic western Shane, didn't just earn him an Academy Award nomination at age 11, they immortalized him in Hollywood's pantheon of unforgettable performances. With piercing blue eyes and golden hair that seemed to catch the light just right, Brandon possessed that rare quality that made audiences lean forward in their seats. Unlike many child stars who faded into obscurity during their teenage years, he gracefully navigated the treacherous waters of adolescent roles, starring alongside Paul Newman in HUD and making memorable appearances in The Virginian. Critics whispered that Brandon might become one of the greatest character actors of his generation. His natural talent, combined with an innate understanding of nuanced performance, suggested a career that would span decades. But fate had written a different final act. 6. Shirley Temple, America's Little Princess. If Hollywood's golden age had a crown princess, it was undoubtedly Shirley Temple. Those bouncing curls, that dimpled smile, and her infectious energy didn't just entertain, they provided hope during America's darkest hours. During the Great Depression, her films became a beacon of joy, earning her an unprecedented $50,000 per picture at just 7 years old, nearly $1 million in today's currency. But even America's sweetheart couldn't escape childhood's natural progression. As adolescence approached, those same studio executives who had profited from her childhood charm turned cold. 20th Century Fox dropped her contract at 12, and after a series of unsuccessful teenage roles, including a failed screen test for The Wizard of Oz, Shirley made her final bow at 22. Yet unlike many child stars who vanished into obscurity, Shirley Temple Black orchestrated one of the most remarkable second acts in American history. Trading tap shoes for diplomatic credentials, she emerged as a respected political figure, serving as U.S. ambassador to both Ghana and Czechoslovakia. Her transformation from dimpled darling to distinguished diplomat proved that sometimes the end of one dream simply marks the beginning of another. Through it all, she maintained a grace and dignity that set her apart from Hollywood's typical child star narrative. While others might have bitter tales to tell, Shirley chose to view her early stardom as merely the first chapter in a rich and varied life story. Her legacy reminds us that true success isn't measured in box office numbers or Academy Awards, but in the ability to reinvent oneself when the spotlight fades. Her words echo with sobering wisdom. I have one piece of advice for those who want to become actors. Don't. Coming from Shirley Temple Black, who gracefully transformed from America's darling to distinguished diplomat, these words carry profound weight. Her remarkable journey from tap dancing prodigy to international ambassador proved that true success often lies beyond the blinding lights of Hollywood. Until her passing in 2014, she demonstrated that leaving stardom behind didn't mean fading into irrelevance. Sometimes it means finding an even greater purpose. 7. Tommy Rettig, from Lassie's Boy to Code Master. For millions of Americans in the 1950s, Tommy Rettig embodied the wholesome charm of Jeff Miller, the beloved first boy owner of television's most famous collie, Lassie. His all-American features and natural chemistry with his four-legged co-star catapulted him into living rooms nationwide. But beneath the surface, Tommy wrestled with the golden handcuffs of childhood fame. At just 14, suffocating under the weight of celebrity, he made the shocking decision to break free from his Lassie contract. What followed was a cautionary tale of Hollywood's unforgiving nature. Casting directors, unable to see beyond the boy who once ran through meadows with America's favorite dog, turned their backs. The roles dried up, leaving Tommy adrift in the uncertain waters of post-fame existence. The 1960s brought new challenges, including a marijuana cultivation arrest that effectively sealed his acting career's fate. But like a phoenix rising from Hollywood's ashes, Tommy found redemption in an unexpected realm, the emerging world of computer technology. Trading scripts for code, he reinvented himself as a pioneering database programmer, authoring respected technical books and building a consulting career that finally allowed him to step out of Lassie's long shadow. 8. Diana Sarah, Baby Peggy, silent cinema's forgotten fortune. Before Shirley Temple twirled into America's heart, Baby Peggy commanded the silent screen with a presence that belied her tender years. Between 1921 and 1924, this diminutive powerhouse starred in over 150 short films, her solemn expressions and perfect timing making her one of cinema's first child phenomena. At her peak, she earned an astronomical $1.5 million annually, equivalent to $23 million today, and received more fan mail than most modern celebrities could imagine. But behind the scenes, a darker story unfolded. Her father, a former cowboy turned ruthless manager, worked her to exhaustion. 8-hour days, 6 days a week, with no education and no childhood to speak of. When tears threatened to ruin a take, crew members would press ice cubes to her face until she regained composure. None of her massive earnings made it into a trust fund. Instead, they vanished into her family's extravagant lifestyle and poor investments. By 1925, at the tender age of 7, baby Peggy faced a harsh reality. She was a has-been before most children learned to read. Desperate times forced her into grueling vaudeville tours until the Great Depression finally drew the curtain on her performing career, leaving behind a cautionary tale of fame's fleeting nature and the price of childhood stardom. The weight of childhood stardom crushed Diana Sarah Carey's teenage spirit so profoundly that she legally transformed herself from Baby Peggy to Diana Sarah Carey. This wasn't just a name change, it was a desperate bid for freedom from the golden chains of her exploited youth. For decades, she vanished into the tapestry of ordinary life, working mundane jobs while carrying the invisible scars of her extraordinary past. But like a phoenix rising from the ashes of forgotten fame, Diana emerged in her 70s when film historians rediscovered her pivotal role in cinema's silent era. Her voice, once silenced by exploitation, grew strong as she became a powerful advocate for child actors' rights. Until her passing at 101 in 2020, she stood as the last living bridge to Hollywood's silent age, her legacy evolving from child sensation to respected historian and author. 9. Scotty Beckett, the tragic fall of a little rascal. With his trademark tilted newsboy cap and infectious grin, Scotty Beckett captured America's heart as one of the original Little Rascals. His star continued to rise as he seamlessly transitioned to feature films, portraying younger versions of Hollywood giants like Frederick March and Spencer Tracy. Even as television emerged, Scotty adapted, landing a coveted role in Rocky Jones' Space Ranger, suggesting he might break the child star curse. But beneath that cheerful exterior, darkness lurked. His father's death when he was 14 triggered a devastating spiral into self-destruction. The bright-eyed boy who once made Depression-era audiences laugh descended into a maze of addiction, failed marriages, and legal troubles. His once promising career crumbled under the weight of his demons, leaving him unemployable in the industry that once adored him. The final chapter of Scotty's life reads like a Hollywood noir. In May 1968, he checked into a nursing home bearing mysterious injuries. 2 days later, at just 38, he was found dead, another victim of barbiturate overdose. The official verdict suggested suicide, though questions still swirl around his final moments. His tragic end serves as a stark reminder of fame's potential to build up its youngest stars, only to leave them shattered. 10. Freddy Bartholomew, MGM's British Crown Prince. In the 1930s, Freddy Bartholomew stood as MGM's answer to Shirley Temple's dominance. His refined British accent, impeccable manners, and extraordinary emotional range made him the perfect choice for prestigious literary adaptations. Whether commanding the screen in David Copperfield or Little Lord Fauntleroy, Freddy's performances elevated children's roles to new dramatic heights. At his peak, his weekly salary of $2,500, astronomical during the Great Depression, reflected his unmatched value to the studio system. Behind Freddy Bartholomew's polished accent and impeccable manners lay a story of triumph and heartbreak that epitomized Hollywood's golden age. His performances as the quintessential English schoolboy captivated audiences worldwide, yet few knew the painful reality behind his picture-perfect facade. Born into London's working-class streets, Freddy's early life read more like a Dickens novel than a Hollywood script. His aunt, recognizing a spark of extraordinary talent in the young boy, whisked him away to America, setting the stage for an unprecedented rise to stardom. But as his star ascended, so did the vulture's circle. His biological parents, who had shown little interest in their son's welfare, suddenly emerged from the shadows, launching a bitter custody battle that played out in newspaper headlines across the nation. The legal warfare that followed wasn't just emotionally devastating, it systematically drained the fortune Freddy had accumulated through years of dedicated performances. Yet unlike many child stars who crumbled under similar pressures, Freddy faced adversity with remarkable dignity. When MGM dropped his contract at 14, Freddy didn't descend into the typical spiral of bitterness and self-destruction. Instead, he answered his country's call, serving with distinction in the Air Force during World War II. This military service proved to be more than just a patriotic duty. It became his bridge to an entirely new life. Trading the silver screen for Madison Avenue, Freddy reinvented himself in the burgeoning world of television advertising. Starting from the bottom as a sales representative, he climbed the corporate ladder through sheer determination and talent, eventually becoming an award-winning director of television commercials in New York. Perhaps most remarkably, Freddy never traded on his past fame. He rarely mentioned his Hollywood years, preferring to be judged on his current merits rather than childhood achievements. When he passed away in 1992, many of his advertising colleagues were stunned to learn that the respected executive they'd known had once been one of cinema's brightest child stars. Freddy Bartholomew's legacy isn't just about his memorable performances in classic films. It's about the grace and dignity with which he navigated the treacherous waters of post-stardom life. In an industry where child star tragedies became commonplace, his story stands as a testament to the power of reinvention and the quiet dignity of choosing one's own path. 11. Jackie Coogan, the boy who changed Hollywood forever. Before there were child labor laws in Hollywood, there was Jackie Coogan. His heartbreaking story revolutionized the entertainment industry and led to what became known as the Coogan Law, legislation that protects child performers' earnings. As Charlie Chaplin's co-star in The Kid, Jackie earned millions only to discover at age 21 that his parents had squandered his entire fortune. His legal battle for his earnings became the catalyst for reform that protects young performers to this day. 12. Beverly Washburn, the quiet success story. In the glittering landscape of 1950s television, Beverly Washburn carved out a unique niche with her extraordinary emotional range and authentic presence. While her name might not echo as loudly as some of her contemporaries, her face became a familiar comfort in American homes through appearances on classics like The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, and Leave It to Beaver. Directors treasured her remarkable ability to cry on command, a talent that earned her roles requiring deep emotional vulnerability. Unlike many child stars who struggled with the transition to adult roles, Beverly navigated these treacherous waters with remarkable grace, continuing to work steadily through her teens and into adulthood. Today, at 81, Beverly lives peacefully in Las Vegas, occasionally gracing film festivals with her presence and sharing stories from Hollywood's golden age through her memoir, Real Tears. Her story stands as a testament to finding the middle path, neither tragic casualty nor stratospheric success, but rather a sustainable career followed by a graceful exit on her own terms. 13. June Lockhart, 9 decades of stardom. June Lockhart's journey represents a rare phenomenon in Hollywood, the successful evolution from child star to beloved television icon. Beginning at age 13 in A Christmas Carol, 1938, June didn't just survive the transition to adult roles, she thrived, reinventing herself repeatedly across 9 remarkable decades in entertainment. Her transformation from child performer to America's favorite TV mom in series like Lassie and Lost in Space showcases a level of adaptability that few actors achieve. Now, at 99, June stands as one of the last living connections to Hollywood's golden age, her longevity serving as proof that child stardom doesn't always end in tragedy. 14. Gloria Jean, Universal's lost songbird. With a soprano voice that could rival the angels, Gloria Jean seemed destined to inherit Deanna Durbin's crown as Universal Studios' singing sensation. Her 1939 debut in The Underpup launched a promising series of musical features that showcased her remarkable vocal talents, particularly alongside comedy star Donald O'Connor. However, unlike her predecessor Durbin, Gloria's star began to fade as musical films fell out of fashion. Despite her undeniable talent, changing audience tastes and evolving studio priorities left this once promising songbird searching for her place in a transformed Hollywood landscape. Her story reminds us how even the most gifted performers can find themselves caught in the industry's ever-shifting currents. In the fickle world of Hollywood, few child stars mastered the art of graceful departure quite like Gloria Jean. With over 20 films under her belt before turning 21, she epitomized the innocent charm of 1940s musical comedies. Her crystalline voice and wholesome presence made her Universal Studios' brightest hope for succeeding Deanna Durbin's legacy. But as post-war America's tastes evolved, the demand for sweet-natured musical features waned. When Universal declined to renew her contract, Gloria faced a crossroads that many child stars encounter: adapt, desperately cling to fading fame, or choose a different path entirely. Unlike countless peers who fought against the tide of changing times, Gloria displayed remarkable self-awareness. She made a calculated decision that would ultimately preserve both her dignity and her peace of mind. Trading spotlights for stability, she embraced a new chapter as a hostess for Redkin Laboratories, and later as an executive receptionist. 15. Kevin Corcoran, Disney's boy wonder behind the camera. To millions of Disney fans in the 1950s and 1960s, Kevin Corcoran was simply Moochie, the freckle-faced embodiment of post-war American boyhood. His appearances in beloved productions like Old Yeller, The Shaggy Dog, and Swiss Family Robinson caught Walt Disney's personal attention, who helped shape Kevin's image as the quintessential kid brother character. But Kevin possessed something rare among child stars: foresight. While still at the height of his acting career, he recognized that his future might lie in crafting stories rather than starring in them. After studying theater arts at California State University, he orchestrated a masterful transition to directing and producing, working on hit shows like Quantum Leap, Baywatch, and Murder, She Wrote. His behind-the-scenes career proved more enduring than his acting days, spanning decades and earning industry respect. Kevin's unique perspective as a former child actor made him exceptionally skilled at directing young performers, understanding their challenges firsthand. When cancer claimed him in 2015, at age 66, he left behind a dual legacy, first as Disney's reliable young star, then as a respected television visionary who proved that reinvention is always possible. 16. Jon Provost, America's beloved Timmy. When Jon Provost joined Lassie in 1957 as Timmy Martin, he stepped into television history. For 7 years, his adventures with the world's most famous collie captivated global audiences, generating over 2,000 weekly fan letters at the show's peak. His golden hair and innocent expressions became synonymous with wholesome 1950s family entertainment. Unlike many child stars forced out by controversy or conflict, Jon made a mature decision to leave the series at age 14, recognizing he had outgrown the perpetually young Timmy. This early display of self-awareness would set the tone for his future decisions in the entertainment industry. In a rare display of Hollywood wisdom, Jon Provost made a decision that would ultimately preserve both his future and his legacy. After 7 successful years as Timmy Martin on Lassie, he and his parents chose not to renew his contract. The beloved character's exit was carefully crafted. Timmy's family moved to Australia, taking television's most famous collie with them. Though in typical Hollywood fashion, Lassie would mysteriously find her way back to American shores, ready for new adventures with fresh-faced co-stars. Unlike many child stars who desperately cling to fading glory, Jon faced post-Lassie life with remarkable clarity. While he dabbled in occasional film and television roles, he recognized that chasing diminishing returns in Hollywood wasn't his destiny. Instead, he made a bold pivot that would reshape his future entirely. 17. Bonita Granville, from child villain to Hollywood executive. Bonita Granville broke the mold of saccharine child performances with her chilling portrayals of troubled youth. Her role as the manipulative Mary Tilford in These Three, 1936, earned her an Academy Award nomination at just 13, proving that child actors could tackle complex, morally ambiguous characters. Her greatest triumph came as teenage detective Nancy Drew, starring in a beloved series of films from 1938 to 1939. But Bonita's most remarkable achievement wasn't in front of the camera. It was in the executive suite. After marrying oil millionaire Jack Rather in 1947, she orchestrated one of Hollywood's most impressive transformations. As executive producer, she helped shape the very Lassie series that would later launch Jon Provost to fame. Under her leadership, the Rather Corporation became a powerhouse in entertainment and hospitality. When cancer claimed her in 1988, Bonita Granville Rather had long since transcended her child star origins. Her evolution from performing to producing and business leadership remains perhaps the most dramatic reinvention in child star history, proving that early fame could be a stepping stone rather than a peak. 18. Martin Stevens, the haunting child of horror. In the realm of British horror cinema, few faces evoked more spine-chilling reactions than Martin Stevens. His piercing gaze and unnaturally mature presence in classics like Village of the Damned and The Innocents redefined what child actors could bring to the horror genre. His portrayal of the telepathic alien child David in Village of the Damned remains one of cinema's most unsettling performances by a young actor. At age 16, after crafting an impressive portfolio of eerie roles, Martin made a decision that would mystify horror fans for decades. He simply vanished from public view, leaving behind a legacy that would influence horror cinema for generations. While speculation about his fate ran wild among genre enthusiasts, with theories ranging from tragic endings to mysterious disappearances, the reality proved far more mundane. 19. Johnny Crawford, the rifleman's son. For 5 unforgettable seasons, Johnny Crawford captured America's heart as Mark McCain on The Rifleman. His portrayal of Chuck Connor's son showcased a rare authenticity, allowing viewers to witness his genuine transformation from a 12-year-old boy into a young man. Beyond the small screen, Johnny's talents extended into music, where he carved out a successful recording career with Billboard hits like Cindy's Birthday and Rumors. Despite his early success and natural transition into young adult roles, the shadow of Mark McCain proved difficult to escape. Though he continued working through the 1960s and early 1970s, including a notable stint on Hawaii Five-0, the industry's typecasting gradually limited his opportunities. Yet Johnny found his true calling in vintage music, leading his own orchestra and embracing a creative path that brought genuine fulfillment. 20. Jay North, Dennis the Menace's dark reality. Behind the mischievous grin and iconic blonde cowlick of Dennis the Menace lay a disturbing tale of exploitation and abuse. From 1959 to 1963, Jay North embodied America's favorite troublemaker, his striped shirt and overalls becoming a symbol of childhood innocence. But the reality behind the scenes was far from innocent. Under the ruthless supervision of his aunt and uncle, Jay endured constant psychological torment. Their threats of punishment for imperfect performances created an unbearable pressure cooker environment for the young star. The demand to maintain Dennis's perpetual energy while suffering private abuse left deep emotional scars that would take decades to heal. When puberty ended his reign as Dennis at age 12, Jay faced the harsh reality of typecasting. Failed television projects and a brief Navy career followed, but his path eventually led him to work as a corrections officer, a dramatic departure from his Hollywood beginnings. Today, at 73, Jay North lives quietly, occasionally sharing his story as a cautionary tale about the dark side of child stardom, while finding peace far from the industry that both made and broke him. Jay North's courageous decision to speak openly about his experiences has transformed him from a victim to a powerful advocate for child performers' rights. His candid discussions about the psychological impact of early fame have shed crucial light on the entertainment industry's darker corners. Through numerous interviews and speaking engagements, he's detailed not just the visible pressures of maintaining Dennis the Menace's perpetual enthusiasm, but also the invisible scars left by behind-the-scenes exploitation. His advocacy work has directly influenced modern child labor laws in entertainment, pushing for stricter regulations around working hours, on-set education, and psychological support. By sharing his story, Jay has helped create a framework for protecting young performers from the kinds of abuse he endured, making his long-term impact perhaps more significant than his television success. Final reflections: the price of early fame. These 20 stories paint a complex portrait of childhood stardom, from the tragic fate of Bobby Driscoll to the inspiring reinvention of Shirley Temple Black. Each narrative serves as both warning and wisdom, revealing how the glittering promise of early fame often conceals deeper challenges. Some found redemption through reinvention, others through advocacy, while some tragically succumbed to the pressures of their early success. Their collective experiences have shaped modern entertainment, leading to crucial reforms in how we protect and nurture young talent. Today's child actors benefit from the hard lessons learned through these pioneers' triumphs and tragedies, though the fundamental challenges of growing up in the spotlight remain.